One of the young men who founded the social website Reddit has died. The body of 26-year-old Aaron Swartz was found in his Brooklyn apartment yesterday. The medical examiner says he hanged himself. Swartz was facing a federal trial next month on accusations that he stole scientific journals from an MIT computer archive.
The game has and always will be rigged, but we the people can expose the holes. We can make the main players rigged. The main players hide in plain sights, for they think we can't see their loopholes, for we are the people of bits and bytes. This is Occupy Wall Street 2.0, for the small man and the big man go toe to toe, for data wants to be free, and that should be our rights. But the main players always want to start the fights.
First, it's great to see Herb and your gang is so right about so much of this. I've never seen it before. And what Wall Street Bets, which is really driving this, what they've done, that's a site on Reddit. What they've done is target large short positions. Now, they have not targeted small short positions. GameStop was 148% short. They went after Best Buy this morning because that's 67% short. They're obviously, by the way, BlackBerry's not. They just happen to be a big favorite. Palantir, we don't know where they're doing. But I actually think, Herb, that they're smarter than we think. They're after the ones that are too shorted. No, short selling is not dead, but they're very smart about what to target.
Wait a minute. What you just said, target. So here's my question. How is it that they can target, and that's legal, and if there was, in the old days, a bear raid, that was illegal? When does this become manipulation, Jim?
It's such a tough question because remember, what's manipulation? How about...
Suffice it to say, they were betting the stock would fail. But now that the stock isn't failing, and it's not at $4 and it's at 300, well, right now I think it's like 200 and something, they're set to lose $1 billion. And 5,000 firms are set to lose $70.87 billion. Amazing. A transfer of wealth from Wall Street to Main Street. Michael Bloomberg's outlet, but they said, good morning. A stock market insurrection goes global. The EU is falling out with AstraZeneca and the US tech titans disappoint. Here's what's moving the markets. A stock market insurrection. Someone on Bloomberg said the GameStop thing is, and I quote, as bad as the Capitol riots, I almost spit my effing drink out. It is. To them. Hashtag GameStonk is trending. Stonk, of course, being a meme for stocks. It's the revolution, baby, and it is happening. Check this out. Let the people trade. Reoccupy Wall Street. Sunday, January 31st at noon, Zuccotti Park. It's not even been 10 years, my friends. And we have a legit call for another occupation of Zuccotti Park. Well, New York's in lockdown. Good luck. I'm not confident, but the New York Young Republican Club. Let me just stress that for you. The New York Young Republicans are calling for Occupy Wall Street to come back. This is the GameStop rebellion, my friends. This is what it is. And everybody's on board, left to right.
And we begin tonight with Wall Street rallies, the one on the stock exchange and the others out on the streets. The Dow closed up 330 points today, or 3%, continuing a run-up that began last week. At the same time, a new report says Americans are seeing their incomes fall even more rapidly than during the recession. Incomes are down 6.7% since the recession ended, after falling just half that amount during the recession.
Those protests against Wall Street continue to grow across the country today. Here in New York, thousands of demonstrators descended on the financial district as big labor unions joined in, and many people down there asking the question, what are the people who helped create the jobs crisis doing to help the people out of work?
As you know, there are Americans who are being evicted from their homes. They can't pay the rent. Many Americans are waiting in food lines for the first time in their lives. Can you look them in the eye, Madam Speaker, and explain why you don't want to accept the president's latest stimulus offer?
Well, because, thank you very much, so that to save lives, and now they will lose their jobs. because
But they
Mitch
really,
McConnell
they
says
really.
let the states go bankrupt.
Excuse me for
let
interrupting,
the states go bankrupt.
Madam Speaker, but they really need the money right now, and even members of,
I
of your own.
understand that, but
your-
if
but even
if
members
you
of
ask
your
me a
own caucus,
question-
even the members of your own caucus, Madam Speaker, want to accept this deal. $1.8 trillion. Congressman Ro Khanna,
Wait a
for
minute,
example. But let me
wait
just.
a sec.
let me-
Speaker Pelosi, what have you found? What are you going to share with us from your home?
Chocolate.
Really?
It's not going to be everything you want, not going to be everything I want, but there are so many Americans right now who are in desperate need. Let's make a deal.
What makes me amused, if it weren't so sad, chocolate.
Really?
Chocolate is how you all think that you know more about the suffering of the American people than those of us who are elected by them to represent them at that table. It is unfortunate that we do not have chocolate agreement. There is no agreement, but what the suggestions are, as if there's some authority on the subject. Please give equal weight to to all of the chairmen on the committee who have written this bill.
But so many of your fellow Democrats in the House, they want a deal.
Case,
That
and I
all
wish
of
you would
All
respect the knowledge
right, let's
that
see what
goes
happens,
into
because every day
getting
is critically
meeting the needs
important.
of the
Thanks so
American.
much for
Thank you for
joining
your
us.
sensitivity to our constituents' needs.
I am sensitive to them because I see them on the street begging for food, begging for money. Madam Speaker, thank
Have
you
you
so much.
fed them? We feed them. We feed them.
We'll continue this conversation down the road for sure.
Chocolate.
Really?
For Sparrow Kennedy, it's higher taxes on the top 1% of earners to the benefit of the other 99.
I'm not saying let's make these people less wealthy, but I'm saying let's use a little of this wealth to give people the basic necessities: food, clothing, and shelter.
Younger protesters here argue their movement is still in its infancy. They're not following someone else's schedule to define themselves. But older demonstrators who lived through the 60s sense further delay could risk their momentum.
Is that as a result of the greed, the recklessness, and the illegal behavior on Wall Street, we were plunged into this horrendous recession we're currently in. Do you agree with that assessment? Did Wall Street's greed and recklessness cause this recession that led to so many people losing their jobs?
It had excessive risk-taking on Wall Street had a lot to do with it, and so did some failures on the part of regulators.
And he runs in or whatever. Ja Rule tweeting, yo, this is an effing crime what Robinhood app is doing. Do not sell. Hold the line. WTF. You saw my earlier segment? Ladies and gentlemen, this is the GameStop rebellion. It is massive. And I am confused when I see so many people on Twitter tweeting about other things. When I see so many stories popping up about other things. I'll tell you what else I don't like. Seeing a lot of people trying to manipulate this like, oh, maybe you should buy this stock or that stock, or maybe you should buy this thing. I'm like, yeah, you're trying to distract people because something truly profound is happening. A spike through the system, penetrating the armor of a corrupt establishment machine. The goal, in my opinion, of what Robinhood did by stopping the ability to buy, but not the ability to sell, means who are you selling to if not users on Robinhood? That's right. Robinhood says democratizing trading, right? No. The little people can't buy. Only people on other platforms, only the funds, only the firms, they can buy. They have direct access. They cut us off. They cut the people off. Oh, we can sell. And we can see our shares drop in value and watch, and we can't buy the dip like the big companies do. The GameStop rebellion continues. My friends, you are witnessing history. The people are rising up in the only way they can, and the only way they know how right now to actually make some change. Challenging the billionaires, but the machine is fighting back. Desperate to stave off billions of dollars in losses, they're colluding in the open with big tech firms to restrict the ability of the little guy to buy stock, but they'll let you sell so the stock crumbles. Right now, the latest reporting is coming from Reuters. Losses on short positions in U.S. firms top $70 billion. $70 billion. Oh, the pain's coming. They're rigging the game. They're trying to stop the people. But I don't think it's going to work. The shills are still out and about, however. Those trying to distract us from what's going on. Those pushing rage bait garbage issues, distracting everyone from what's really going on right now.
Just give me your take on what you're at least aware of right now and whether there is a place for the regulators to potentially step in.
Oh, good morning, and thanks for having me. I'm sure that the regulators have already stepped into this situation. These are the kinds of places where the SEC, FINRA, and the exchanges all come together very quickly to watch this and watch it very carefully, because there is so much speculation, there's so much up and down in pricing that there's huge potential for people to get hurt. So you can be assured that they're doing that as we speak.
With all due respect, and you know we've known each other a long time, you really don't know what you're talking about.
You tweet a lot.
I use my tweets to express myself. Some people use their hair. I use Twitter.
Well, but you use your tweeting to kind of get back at critics.
Rarely.
You kind of have little wars with the press.
Twitter is a war zone. If somebody's going to jump in the war zone, it's like, okay, you're in the arena. Let's go.
His war zone tweeting drew fire when out of the blue in August he tweeted, quote, "Am considering taking Tesla private at $420. Funding secured." The SEC disputed that claim and charged him with securities fraud.
Tom, how do they approach sort of the open nature of this? This is not people leveraging their influence or their connections. It's simply leveraging social media. Do you think there are existing laws in place that will help regulators put a ring fence around these dislocations?
Absolutely. They've put a ring around this kind of behavior for a long time. This is not the first time you've seen a speculative bubble. This is just the latest time that you've seen this. You've got a huge short interest here. You've got what's sort of unusual here is you seem to have a lot of popular interest from people who are interested in GameStop, but there are guardrails that the regulators have put in place. There's the fraud statutes. If you're not telling the truth, if you're doing something deceptive, if you're doing something that's manipulative, they'll step in. There are other guardrails that stop the trading so that everything keeps up to date, so everybody's trades are getting registered. But what they don't do is they don't stop the speculation. That's been a subject of conversation in the securities markets, the fraud market, the futures markets for years. But speculators give liquidity to these markets. When it gets out of control like this, it can be very disruptive, and a lot of people can get hurt. A lot of hedge funds have been bailing out of their positions here. A lot of them are going to have problems covering their short positions, and that will cause the regulators some heartburn. But there's a very clear set of regulations here, a very clear set of guardrails that the regulators are watching, and be assured they're looking at those guardrails. They're also looking at social media to try to tie that up to the trades. And the SEC in particular is very good at doing that.
If a tweet had a probability of causing a movement in the stock.
And that's it.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise it's hello, First Amendment. Freedom of speech is fundamental.
But how do they know if it's going to move the market if they're not reading all of them before you send them?
Well, I guess we might make some mistakes. Who knows?
Are you serious?
Nobody's perfect.
Look at you.
No, I want to be clear. I do not respect the SEC. I do not respect them.
But you're abiding by the settlement, aren't you?
Because I respect the justice system.
Wow. When do you think your colleagues on Wall Street, and I use the term colleagues, just, other strategists, other investment professionals, will acknowledge the power of this class of investor? Because to date, it seems like there's a little bit of condescension when talking about this Reddit rebellion. This is crazy. This is mob mentality. These people don't know what they're doing. They may not do the research. But the fact of the matter is, and I'm just speaking from their perspective, fact of the matter is, they've made a lot of money on GameStop and a lot of these stocks. And if you take a look at some of the other sort of, stratospheric rises that we've seen in the past couple of years, whether it be a Bitcoin or a Tesla, the retail cohort had gotten these stories right from the beginning, even as Wall Street turned their nose up.
Absolutely, I'd agree. I mean, first of all, the wisdom of the crowd means price is what we have to understand. I think a lot of people think their business is, oh, I can tell the stock market what to do. They cannot. The stock market is telling us the signal. And if someone who's a professional investor thinks only fundamental investors trade, that's a mistake. For the last 10 years, the average stock was held for 40 seconds. No one can tell me that a professional investor is fundamentally deciding every 40 seconds what to do. I think the majority of markets is based on expectations of the future. The retail investor is having a huge impact. Of course, it's going to create, I think, inefficiencies, but those can be exploited by other investors. So I think people just have to understand this is a wake-up call. It's a bitter pill to swallow, but I think overall it's a very good force. But you're absolutely right. Bitcoin is a great example of non-professional investors discovering a market. It's now proven to be pretty valid. And what are we seeing this year? Institutional investors are buying this hand over fist in huge amounts. They could have bought the entire supply of Bitcoin, in 2016 for 1/100th the price.
Well, I know all about it, but my problems with not just Bitcoin, but with the current crop of cryptocurrencies is really more to do with the fact that the world governments are not going to allow this to have traction at any level because, and again, I always go back to this quote by the Rothschild family way back in the day that give me control of the nation's money supply and I don't need to write the laws. And there's no way that they're going to allow us after all these years of clamping down on Switzerland, they say, okay, yeah, let's have an anonymous global currency, just give up control of the money supply. It's outrageous to think that they will allow this to take hold. That's my biggest issue. Well, there's two things. See, Bitcoin itself is not a scam, I don't think. What's happening is there are scams around it being perpetuated because by its very nature, it's a dark market. You can't see what's going on behind the scenes. And, people dive into that and use it to rip others off. So it's not that Bitcoin's a scam, but its nature allows scams to occur. And that's what's been going on.
So it might even be better off for Bitcoin in the long run for the SEC to step in, as they've done in terms of cleaning up the chat rooms for penny stocks, et cetera.
Right, but I don't think that's what's going to happen because there are besides the scam. Well, because besides the scam, there's problems with the central banks don't want it because they need to control the money supply. They spent all this time trying to stop money laundering. So why now allow something that's an anonymous currency that lends itself to make money laundering very easy and hard to track down? There's no way that it's in their best interest to do that. I don't believe there's any shot in the world that will let that happen. That's my opinion.
So you think governments are going to step in and squash it?
Well, they already have, and it will get far more aggressive. And also, we don't even know how bad it is yet. There's investigations that have been announced that are underway. And as they say, the wheels of justice grind slowly, but they do grind forward. And I am extremely confident that you'll see that when the truth comes out of what happened over the last couple of years, you're going to see massive fraud, manipulation. There's issues with Tether, which is linked to Bitcoin. So there's huge problems, I believe, regulatory-wise, and you're seeing the tip of the iceberg right now. Just look at it logically. The governments have spent so much money and resources trying to stop money laundering. Why on earth would they say, let's just give up control of the money supply. Let's just let anyone have anonymous. There's no, it defies logic. And also, there's the technical issues, like it's a massive waste of energy. It's an inefficient for the merchants to do. It's very expensive and slow. So it makes no sense. There's no good reason why this should exist other than pure speculation where get more people involved so we can make money on the early investors. I don't see any reason for it.
The field you have been selected to study is highly volatile and potentially dangerous. But over the next few minutes, we will demonstrate the elaborate safety measures that have been put in place to ensure that the hell... Hey, what is that? What's going on? Oh God, it's 15! The hell? Don't let them near each other. When did you set the shift?
-20.
How long?
9 minutes, but we're still learning.
Why is that still running? You told me to keep the camera running. Turn it up. Turn it up!
My opinion that you do not really understand the concept of banking. All the banks are broke. Bank Santander, Deutsche Bank, Royal Bank of Scotland, they're all broke. And why are they broke? It isn't an act of God. They're broke because we have a system called fractional reserve banking, which means that banks can lend money that they don't actually have. It's a criminal scandal and it's been going on for too long. And most of the problem starts in politics and central banks, which are part of the same political system. We have counterfeiting, sometimes called quantitative easing, the artificial printing of money, which if any ordinary person did, they'd go to prison for a very long time. And yet governments and central banks do it all the time. The sheer effrontery of this is quite astonishing. It's central banks that manipulate interest rates, Commissioner. So when banks go broke through their own incompetence and chicanery, the taxpayer picks up the tab. It's theft from the taxpayer.
Greetings, fellow citizens of nations from around the world. We are Anonymous. Since 2011, Anons everywhere have been targeting private central banking systems in the fight against capitalism, backed by continued efforts of Operation Icarus campaigns today. Under capitalism, the more money you have, the easier it is to make money, and the less money you have, the harder. Too much capitalism does not mean too many capitalists, but too few. In a capitalist society, war and peace are nothing more than business, where the payment of the worker is determined by their value. The root cause of poverty in the world today is capitalism. Capitalism is the belief that the work of man will benefit everyone. While capitalism is an incentive to generate prosperity, it is a system for determining objective value. Capitalism is a symptom motivated by profit, and this means that capitalism means that very few people do well and the rest of the people serve the few. Famous words by Winston Churchill say, "The inherent vice of capitalism is the unequal sharing of blessings. The inherent virtue of socialism is the equal sharing of miseries. There are better ways of living than as a capitalist. We will create a new model that makes the old model obsolete. Together we will bring down organizations that participate in control of large populations and the privatization of profit. Privatization cannot become a public benefit no matter how great the benefits, because capitalism offers you freedom but instead enslaves you. Capitalism means that costs and risks are socialized to the maximum extent allowed possible, while profit is privatized." Powerful words by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. say, "The fact is that capitalism was built on the exploitation and suffering of black slaves and continues to thrive on the exploitation of the poor, both black and white, here and abroad, and that capitalism does not permit an even flow of economic resources. With this system, a small privileged few are rich beyond conscience, and almost all others are doomed to be poor at some level. That's the way the system works. And since we know that the system will not change the rules, we are going to have to change the system." We have all witnessed the United States uprising with Occupy Wall Street venting their frustration with politicians, banks, and corporations. Anonymous calls upon anti-capitalism and pro-civil liberties activists everywhere for freedom of capitalism, monarchy, change, revolution. You are Anonymous. It is too late to expect.
It's corruption, plain and simple. I'm not going to point the finger at anybody. I'm going to say, yo, socialist bros, you hate these big wig Wall Street guys, right? All right, wait right there. Yo, right-wing dudes, capitalists, you hate the rigged economics. Okay, we're all in agreement. I don't care what you call it. It's corruption, manipulation. And it was, for a while, we were seeing some unity. Seems like the corporate shills are out. But check it out. Dave says it's very clear that Robinhood app and hedge funds like Citadel are saying we'll take our chances with class action lawsuits and white-collar crimes and paying people off to stay out of prison rather than their firms going bankrupt. That's it.
It's very exciting. And what's exciting is that it seems like for the first time in my life that I can remember, people are standing up to the government, standing up to the federal bank in a giant way.
Huge.
I've never seen this before. I've never seen just droves of people in the streets sleeping there, staying there, cops losing their fucking shit, man. And it's gotten to a point where if the economy doesn't improve and these people don't have to go back to work, well, what the fuck is going to stop them from escalating? This is a different feeling. This has an overthrow the government feel to it. This is the beginning of something huge.
Right.
This is not just what it looked like. You know, what it looked like was like one of them fucking Glenn Beck rallies that just got real long because it's growing. Right now, they're saying that every day at Occupy Wall Street in New York, it's a bigger and bigger crowd. Every day, people are coming from all over the world to participate in it. Somebody had a good point about Occupy Wall Street. They said all we need is 1 or 2 bounce checks and the cops are with us.
Yeah.
And that's so true, because the cops are with us. You know, it's the cops are not fucking bankers. The idea that you can get the cops to act as protectors for these cocksuckers is really dark. It's really dark when you think about it. that it could even be steered in that direction. We certainly need something different than now. And you keep saying like as if there's a leader, if there's one person that's going to pull it off. And I keep saying that I think that's one of the coolest things about this whole Occupy Wall Street thing is because I don't think there's a fucking leader. You know, there's no leader. You can't arrest one person and then the whole thing shuts down. There's not one figurehead. There's not one voice. That's the beautiful thing. This is a hive mind conclusion. It's way better this way. Your idea sucks. But they're saying we have to do something. That's what they're saying. They're right. You know, they're right. The system is completely fucked up. It doesn't work. The human race and the way it deals with the environment and the resources is like people that are living in a 10-story building. And every day you go down to the first floor and you pull a couple bricks out. And then you get on the roof and you start building another floor.
That's amazing.
It's okay for now, but we all know that eventually it's going to fall apart. It's got to be a way more simple system than the system we have now. Because there's too much room to fuck with it. There's too much room for shenanigans, you know? It doesn't have to be the system we operate under. Imagine trying to run the United States of America, the military-industrial complex and its deep roots
CIA.
into the financial system and the CIA and the NSA and, you know, the fact that the CIA is essentially a shadow government, a government inside the government that does everything, including murder people.
Yep.
That would be like saying, here, clean out Ted Bundy's car and you can drive it. Ron Paul had this one brilliant thing that he said that everybody says that really pays attention to human history. He said, this is exactly how every single empire has fallen. They try to spread themselves out too thin, and eventually it all comes crumbling down. What is this going to accomplish? That's the real question. That's why it's so exciting to me, because this is a period of uncertainty. You know, it's really obvious that people are pissed off. It's really obvious that the cat is out of the bag. Everyone knows this is a corrupt system. It's horribly corrupt. The Congress is corrupt. Congress is bought and paid for. The president is bought and paid for. Everyone's bought and paid for, and no one's doing anything to stop any of this fucking hoarding that's going on. The only way to do that in our world right now, the thing that makes the most sense to me is the internet, because the internet is a way that everybody has a fair shot at communicating who they are. It has to be an internet-based system. We have to have a system of government that's through the internet, because through the internet people can really communicate. You can have civilizations and you can have communities on the internet. I have a community, but I think the idea that we can run the world through the internet is eventually going to be some sort of a reality. We are eventually becoming a global society. The connectivity that we all enjoy right now because of the internet lets people realize that communities, like my message board, I have a massive message board, and this community is a message board of really cool people from everywhere, man. I have people from fucking Saudi Arabia. I have people from foreign countries. I have Asian countries. I have people from Canada, a lot of fucking people from Canada, people from Switzerland and Sweden, all over the fucking world. And it leads me to believe that this idea that a fucking line in the dirt can dictate where you're from. Right. No. It should be like-minded people. It should be cool people, like-minded people. Find them. And if you find a spot, oh, it's across the dirt line, it's no good anymore. Yeah, but it's awesome. Whether it's fucking Costa Rica or where the fuck it is. If you find a place that you think that you could live a safer, healthier, friendlier life than what you're here right in the center of the shitstorm, what's gonna happen? So this is what we all see. We all see Occupy Wall Street. We all see people freaking out. We all see how many people are like us all across the country. I mean, what is this? This is just a conversation between friends. How many friends are sitting around smoking a joint, you know, drinking a couple of beers, having the same fucking conversation, spitting at each other in a bar somewhere, going, these motherfuckers, what's gonna happen? Where's this go? We are literally being sucked dry by financial vampires. It's like there's a vampire colony that's preying on our people, but the way they're doing it, instead of sucking blood out, they're sucking money out. The world that we're living in is a very strange world, and I don't know what happens when it all falls apart.
We are here to protect you, all of you. Imagine the current world war as a game of chess. If you are on our team, you are a piece in the white setting. This is not your average white side. We have no king, and no pawns, and many more than the standard number of other pieces. Imagine the global Occupy movement are the knights, using asymmetrical tactics to strike where unexpected and most effective. Imagine the various hacktivist sects are the rooks, powering through cyberspace to annihilate anything in their focused path. Imagine Ethersec are the bishops, the spiritual guides, and unifying force, bringing the love and molds to the entire sphere of existence. Do you feel that heartbeat? Together, the entire setting is the queen, the embodiment of the whole setting's power. This queen is an idea. We cannot be checkmated because we have no king. We will not fall to the dooms of tyranny because we do not believe in bonds. To put it simply, this is Operation Evolving People Over Current Hostilities. Revolution is a phrase to describe the passage from one petty tyranny to another. This is evolution. We are building a world without fear. A world of love. A world of abundance without zero-sum thought or exploitation of humanity. Not only for us or our children, but for our children's children who will be unpoisoned by this unnatural time. We are anonymous. We do not forgive. We do not forget. We are here. These are our provocations. These are our agents. Occupy Earth 2012. Expect us.
These are incredibly difficult times right now, and we'll leave it on that note. Thank you so much for joining us.
That you are not right in this, Wolf, and I hate to say that to you.